Every single morning I'd have mental breakdowns of what I was wearing. Play to lose. I will give you the blueprint that I followed, and I really believe your network is your net worth. I take it so seriously.
Do you share everything in the business online?
In order to be great at anything, and in order to build something really worthwhile, you need to...
If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, pause this and go back. I promise you it'll make a lot more sense. If you've already listened to part 1, welcome back. Let's go. With the things that you share, have you ever stopped for a moment and been like, oh, should I share that?
No, I don't.
And do you share in real time?
Yeah, as real as I can.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an instance last year where it was probably the scariest moment of the business. I truly did not see a way out of the business, and I learnt probably my limits as a founder through that. And at the time, I filmed the video to post in real time, but then held myself back because I was like, for my own sanity, I really need to understand what the outcome of this is, because it could have made or broken the business. But then as soon as I was over it, I shared it instantly, because a lesson shared is a lesson halved.
What was it?
I don't think I've shared this. So we launched our collection on March 31st, and it pretty much sold out on night 1. We hit 6 figures pretty much within the first 4 hours of launch, which was crazy to me. That was pretty much my target for the entire year. I was like, if I can hit 6 figures this year, oh my God, like that's crazy. There was a clear product market fit there, and I started speaking to my husband about, God, what do we do? Like, there's so much buzz, there's so many emails in our DMs, like, when are we restocking? I really want to ride this wave. Should we turn on a pre-order model? And I had heard this pre-order model. I'd obviously never done it before. I did some research, turned to ChatGPT. What is this? How do I turn it on? How do I do it? Figured out that we could do it. Spoke to my supplier. They were all lined up. Yep, confirmed the timelines. Everything was set. 1 week after we went live, we announced a pre-order launch. So we were essentially doing a second launch to build up that momentum, build up that hype, have that marketing moment. Launched the collection, made incredible headway in sales, like almost did the same numbers that we did on launch night.
Crazy.
It was crazy. Next day, I opened up my emails. I got an email from my supplier saying, unfortunately, due to everything that's happening in the US, at the time the tariffs were just introduced, unfortunately we can't fulfill this PO. And so I had taken people's money. They had pre-ordered on the website. They were expecting this product in, I think it was 4 weeks' time. We were air freighting the goods. And they said, sorry, like essentially what had happened was the US tariffs were introduced. They lost so much US work that that they had the capacity to take on a massive conglomerate, and it basically wiped out all of the small guys. And so overnight, I didn't have a supplier, and all my entire production, bar my dresses, which are still made in Australia, was made with this sole supplier. And so I broke down. I was like, what am I going to do? This is the most embarrassing thing. We've just launched it. We've accepted all this money. How am I now going to go on and tell everybody I have to refund everything? And how am I don't have suppliers now. My entire supply chain was finished overnight. And I was in market now. People were expecting newness for the brand. People were expecting the brand to grow. So I then entered a 4-day negotiation with them. We went back and forth. They agreed, thank God, to do the run, but at an extremely increased minimum. So we ended up needing to, it was about 3 times the initial budget. Every single dollar that we made on that launch night and then some needed to go back into restocking this, which in hindsight, you know what? I'm actually so glad that it happened, because one, I'm now sitting in a warehouse where that stock has actually moved. So more people have gotten to experience the brand. There was no way I would have placed a PO of that value had that not happened to me. But 2, the hunger in me to then go and build out a whole new supply chain. I flew to China 3 weeks later, and I went and met with over 10 suppliers pretty much all of which now work with the biggest brands in the world, because I was like, if I'm going to continue this brand, it needs to be at the same quality, if not better, as my first supplier. So went over there, rebuilt the entire supply chain, and now have incredible people that really believe and back the brand.
Yeah. How hard is it to find a supplier? Because I know, like with the chili oil, like we spoke about this briefly, but when I started, we were obviously making it by hand. We were jarring it ourselves, we were labeling it ourselves.
Iconic.
I have pictures of myself sitting in the lounge room surrounded by all these chili oil jars, just like labeling one by one, like
so
as
good.
I go. To be fair, I found it really therapeutic. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is really calming. Like I had my little Zen moment of sitting and you'd see how many jars are labeled, how many still need to go. But I remember when it came to finding a manufacturer, I was like, the fuck do I start? Like, I don't know food. And I like food. I don't know how to produce it at scale with like food certification.
Totally.
So where do you start when it comes to finding a supplier? Like,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are quite cagey on who their suppliers are or whatever, but I think that trying to find those suppliers in itself is a beast.
And it's the number one question that I get on social media.
Really?
I think I get potentially anywhere between 10 to 20 DMs or comments on my TikTok. If you go look at my founder videos, you're bound to find 5 in one video where like, who is your supplier? How did you find your supplier? Where do you find a manufacturer from? People are always so surprised when I say finding a manufacturer is the easiest part. Like truly, it really is. And it was for me anyway. So I think my strength in life and in this business is my ability to connect with people. And so when I was starting the business, when I was in Italy, I knew I needed a supplier to start this fashion brand that I had now told my husband that I'm leaving my job for. And I had done the research. Everybody was saying, turn to Alibaba, your usual channels, like filter through there. Here's like a broad sort of template that you can reach out to confirm MOQs, confirm like their catalog, what they do, what they can offer, blah, blah, blah. Surprisingly, Capsule Wardrobe isn't my first rodeo. I had tried to start a few other businesses before Capsule, and I had used Alibaba as the source, direct source, and I just hated it. I couldn't form that connection to the supplier that I knew that I needed. And so in Italy, we were in Sicily at the time, and we were driving from one side of Sicily to the other. We had 6 hours in the car, so I was like, okay, in the 6 hours, I need to find a supplier. So I turned to Jane Lou's Facebook page, Like-Minded Bitches Drinking Wine, which is essentially, for anyone that doesn't know, an incredible Facebook group where women in business are in there, not gatekeeping a thing, sharing their finest secrets on how to propel in business, essentially. So I just naively typed in clothing manufacturer. I came across somebody. She was an Aussie living offshore, and she had worked for the names of biggest Australian brands. So that afternoon I DM'd her, and that afternoon I had a Zoom meeting. I moved really quickly. Off that Zoom meeting, she was like, great, come to Vietnam, meet the team, meet the factories, and we'll go to China, we'll fabric source. Essentially, I was like, oh my God, how is this all falling into place so easily? Quit my job, booked tickets. I went to China a month after I quit my job with Peter. We had no idea, never been. We stuffed up our visas. We like essentially didn't have a visa to go. We needed to buy it the morning of that we were leaving. It cost us thousands of dollars. That was the first lesson learned. Got over there to find out that she didn't in fact have her own factory. She was an agent working on behalf of third-party factories, which was fine, but we were going to these factories, and these factories basically looked at me. I was like the smallest fry, and they were like, sure, you can work with us, but like you need to commit a minimum PO value of $1 million USD in a season. And I was like, $1 million USD in a season? Like, I think I'm just trying to make like 6 figures in our first year. What do you mean? So came back from that trip and got hit with a really massive bill from her for her time, which wasn't agreed before. And it was essentially half of the budget. That trip cost me half of the budget that I had to start the brand.
Crazy.
So you can imagine how up in arms I was. And then it was at that point that I was like, okay, how do I find a manufacturer? And I applied the same thinking that I applied to my job as a developer, which was very methodical. Start from A, go to B, go to C. And so I looked at my network of people, which was one person, because I wasn't from that this industry. I called up the guy that designed my second wedding dress, designed and made. And I told him about the experience, and I was in tears. He could see how passionate I was about the brand. And he was like, you know what, I'm going to help you. And so he helped me build out my Australian supply chain. Very quickly, I learned that I needed to take this offshore because I have intention to scale this business big, and I knew it logistically, I needed to get this business working as smoothly as I could to build the foundation to one day scale. So then I spoke to another person who led to another person, who led to another person. I probably spoke to 100 people. Yeah. 95% of which told me no and told me I didn't have the money, the means, or the ability to go offshore. But there was 5% of people that really wanted to help, and it's basically that 5% that's built out my entire supply chain now.
I love that. I feel like it's the same. Like when I went down the chili route, I was like, right, I spoke to someone that I had met at a intimate dinner that I was invited to host and talk about personal branding.
Yeah.
He was a food supplier, but he had a food factory, but I remembered him because he made human grade dog food. And I was like, that's crazy because they can produce dog food and human food in the same factory because it's human grade.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Because pet products you can't produce in the same factory.
Yeah.
So I remembered reached out to him, and he was like, hey, there's a couple of people, but like also just do your research online as well. Like there's a heap of factories for food. And I was like, okay, cool. The hardest thing for us was trying to find somebody who could replicate the recipe that we had, because every chili oil in market at the moment makes it by putting the hot oil into the already cooked ingredients, which is a lot easier because the oil squirts straight into the jars with the ingredients already cooked.
Yeah.
But I was like, the whole point of ours is that it's crispy and it stays crispy in the jar, because we deep fry the items in it before it gets the oil. So we had to figure out that process, and the only woman that was willing to work with us on it and not charge us to figure out the process, I was like, I just have a good gut feeling about her. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just gonna go with her. Like, I know absolutely fucking nothing. She could be pulling the wool over my eyes, and we'll learn that really quickly if she is. But she was just so willing to help us and like work with us and workshop the samples. And yeah, I feel like a lot of it is just like network and trial and error.
And it's also like, honestly, I'm going into this and going into the manufacturer and trying to unpack this whole world of manufacturing supply chain in a foreign country. Like, I knew I was bound to stuff up. Not stuff up. Nothing is a mistake. Like, you always learn to be better. But I accepted the fact that in turn one day, I will have figured out a way to make this process that I'm doing more efficient. But I'm gonna be very inefficient at the start, and that's okay. Yeah. And so every time I ran into a wall, it was almost like I was expecting it to, and then I had this ability to bounce back really quickly and just be like, on to the next, who's the next person I can call.
Yeah, I love that. I think one thing that really resonated with me when I read it on your website was that as humans, we make countless hard decisions every day. And I was like, wow, I feel so seen. Yeah. And you wanted to reduce the amount of decisions that women were making day to day. You spoke about that tough decision of like the 4-day negotiations to figure out how you were going to fulfill these orders. Has there been a tough decision that you've had to navigate outside of that you're like, whoa, like, I wasn't sure what was going to come off it?
There was. It actually came around my first employee for the brand. She was incredible. She is incredible. Such an incredible designer. The first hire in the brand was a product hire, and it really is, because my North Star in this whole brand is product. I mean, when you're starting a business, everybody always says, like, hire somebody that knows more than you, that is smarter than you. And I completely agree. My only caveat towards it, though, is when you're completely new to an industry and you have the strongest vision for what you want to build and what this company needs to look and feel like, if you're bringing in a quote-unquote expert that doesn't align with that goal, sometimes they can take it as power over you, and like their opinion is more valid than your opinion. Despite how incredible that person was, I figured out really quickly that it doesn't matter how incredible the personnel is that you bring into the team. The one thing for me is they need to share the common vision for the brand and the identity of the brand and the concept. Like, we are a concept first brand. And if you can't get on board with the fact that we design and sell curated capsules, then
bye.
unfortunately, like, you're not a good fit for the business. And that was a really hard decision because she did know so much more than me. She came from a plethora of knowledge. And I knew letting her go meant that I needed to in turn take all of that workload back and navigate marketing the business and growing the business and then producing my summer collection by myself. It was a lot, but I'll never, ever, ever compromise the vision for the brand to build a team.
Yeah. How big's your team now?
Me.
Love that.
My mum.
You do it all?
I don't do it all, no. I do, so my mum, bless her soul.
We love her.
We love Mama Jo.
Jo.
Mama Jo,
Shout
yeah.
out to Jo.
Mama Jo is actually a psychic medium.
Love.
She has her own business. She's insane, but she's also a grandma. And so she has time in her calendar to look after my son's 2 kids, and she had time to come on board with the warehouse. So she basically heads up our warehouse now. She packs orders every single day, along with my cousin actually. So after launch night, we had all of these orders and I was like, oh my God, I was expecting to get like 10. Who's going to help me pack this?
Yep.
And I remembered that my cousin worked for a fashion label previously, so I called her. She was actually in between jobs, so she came on board. She's been on board ever since. She's working part-time in the warehouse with Mum to help Mum because Mum's not that tech savvy. It's a work in progress.
Yep.
She's gotten way better.
Yep.
But yeah, otherwise it's just me and then freelancers.
Love.
Yep.
Which freelance do you have in your business?
Again, product is a North Star of mine. It's something that I take really seriously in the brand. And so I work with an incredible senior garment technician, an incredible couture pattern maker that essentially makes our patterns here in Australia. We fit them here and then we send those patterns offshore to make sure that we are controlling fit from conception right through to delivery. And then I work with an incredible branding agency that helped me further my vision of the brand. So I sort of came to them with my brand identity. I had built it out, and then they furthered that and then built out the visual identity that you see, and they helped me develop the website. Because the website, like the core function of the capsule page, it was something, the way that we built it was something that had never been done before. And it took us a year and a half of just designing that page so it was user-friendly, easily digestible, and like it made sense.
Yeah.
So I work with them as well on an ad hoc basis.
Love. Now I know that you spoke about mistakes and things like that, and I think one of the things that we connected, well, that resonated with me so much after our conversation was how transparent we both were about the realities of business. And you know, I think almost every founder I speak to, they're like, it's fucked. Like, and I was like, that's why I like them. That's why I connect with them. Anyone that says to me, they're like, oh, it's actually so great, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, it is, but it's also fucked. Like, it's difficult. What is something that you kind of went through outside of the things that you've already shared that you're like, wow, had I have not gone through that, I wouldn't be the type of founder that I am today?
I think the biggest ones I've shared, and they are what's made me the founder that I am today. But like more so than that, I think that you're exactly right. Like every single day, there is something else. Like there is only one thing that's guaranteed when you're starting a business, and that is the fact that you will face adversity every single day in the business. Like there is not one day that I don't wake up and I don't need to solve a problem, or I am not in tears. I'm getting better at the tears thing, because sometimes we just need to get the hell over it and build the business.
And sometimes you just need to cry.
Totally, and that's okay. But yeah, now I'm like learning, sometimes I just need to get over myself a little bit. But you can't go into business naively knowing or thinking that it's all sunshine and roses, because it's not. But I wouldn't trade it, because I think that having the ability to build a business in this day and age is truly a privilege. Like the fact that I get to wake up every single day and build this company that is exactly what I want, in the way that I want to build it, for a customer that I am so connected to. Like I'm building this for myself, but I'm building it for them, is such a privilege. And accepting the fact that adversity and hardship is just part of the job description, and taking it in your stride and learning from it. I think that the worst thing that can happen in business, in building a business, is being faced with hardship and then not figuring out what the silver lining was in that lesson, and not being able to better yourself because of it.
I couldn't agree more. I think also like there are always going to be things that go wrong. And I live by the saying of like, everything is figure outable. Like there's
Yeah.
a solution for everything. And I think that I also live by the saying of like, what is meant for you won't walk past you.
Yes.
So I'm like, if this isn't working and this is really, you know, sticking, or it's not right and it's not getting to where I want it to get to, like it's because it's not meant for me. If you had to go back and talk to Ash a year and a half ago prior to launching the brand, what would you tell her?
Exactly to your point. I think that I get so many questions from young girls at the moment saying, I don't know if this is the right choice. I don't know if I'm making a mistake. Like, how did you know that what you were doing was right? It's the position that I was in before I launched. It was like, I need to tread exactly perfect every step of the way, or I'll be made to know that I have no idea what I'm doing.
Hello, me again. If you keep coming back to top of mind but still haven't hit follow or subscribe, this is your sign. You have no idea how much it means to me. The more follows we get, the better the guests. The more conversations we can be having, the more you can learn for free. Win-win. So go on, hit follow. I'll wait. Okay, now back to the episode.
Now I take it in my stride that I have no idea what I'm doing, and I share that. And I think I formed this like really deep belief that in life there is no wrong step. Like whatever direction you choose to go in, destiny will always meet you exactly where exactly where you're meant to be. I started as a property developer. Like I literally, for 8 years of my life, I was in a hard hat, steel caps, jeans and a t-shirt telling subbies off on site about the fact that the concrete slab was not poured to the specification of our structural drawings. And now I'm running a fashion label. Like destiny will always meet you where you're meant to be.
If you're reflecting on your journey as a founder now, I think to your point as well, like not knowing everything, like I can't tell you how many business owners I've met that I've had on this pedestal where I'm like, wow, they're amazing and they're killing it. And then I meet them and I'm like, wow, they don't have it all figured out. Like they're figuring it out just as much as I am. It gives me so much confidence to just continue to keep going, because I'm like, the people, and we spoke about this previously, but like the people who win are the ones that just don't give up.
Totally.
And I'm like, you can pivot and you can change as many times as you like, but the moment that you kind of throw the towel in and you're like, I'm done, they're the ones that quit or fail or whatever. But I feel as though the people that just keep going, they'll just figure the next thing out. And I love that about business. If you had to share one thing that you're insecure about as a founder, what would it be?
I think I still get caught out from time to time of overthinking the fact that like, I don't want to be made out to your point, not know it all. Especially comes through when I'm overseas in big meetings with my suppliers. There's one supplier in particular that comes to mind, incredible supplier I could have ever dreamed of for the brand. And I will never forget our first meeting with them in Hong Kong. They had the MD there, the daughter of the founder of the business, and this is a multi-billion-dollar business. And they basically looked me down the barrel of the table. It was like one of those movie scenes. There was like 30 seats, and it was like their team and just Peter and me in the end. And they were like, "Why should we work with you?" And I think those moments, like I do get scared. Like, are they going to see that I actually have no idea what I'm doing? Like, I'm not from this industry. I've never done this before. But I think what I've learned, and this lesson has been applied to sort of everything and every single adversity, or not even adversity, every single step or move that I've made in the business, people don't care about what you know. People care about how much passion you have for the thing that you are building. Like if you have a conversation with me, you know that Capsule Wardrobe not working isn't an option for me. Like I am so dead set serious about the fact that this business is going to be a global business, because there is no way I'm building anything less than having this concept in the hands of the most amount of women in the world. And when people see that passion, they feel it and they want to help you. Like the best piece of advice that I was ever given when I started, it was the day after I quit my job, the day after my last day at my company. Somebody turned to me and said, "Ash, if you don't remember anything, remember this. Believe in the willingness of a stranger to help you if you can show that stranger how passionate you are about the thing that you're doing." And that is what I have always led with. And since that moment, I cannot even tell you how many complete strangers have come into my life and just given me their entire black book, because they're like, you deserve to build what you're building because you have so much passion for it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think also like the networks that you build, it's crazy because I think, you know, networking can again be a buzzword that's thrown around, and it's like, oh, who are you networking with? And it's like, actually network is all of your relationships that you've made to date. It's not events that you go to and you network with, because I fucking hate them. Where it's like, turn to the person next to you and tell them something that you don't know about them. And I'm like, it's boring, and I think that it's manufactured, and I think that there's not a lot of substance that comes from those events. Whereas if you were in a room with people, like-minded people, that genuinely understood what you'd been through, or genuinely understood, you know, where you were at in your business, I think those are the relationships that then end up saving you in the long run.
Oh, 100%. It's exactly that. It's not the networking drinks, female founder drinks that you go and you like meet and form these, like, I mean, some of them are amazing, and yes, I've been able to forge incredible relationships through them, but my network is my accountant, who actually happens to be, who's now become my best friend, who's also, her name's Lexi Murray. She has an incredible social media agency called Be Seen. We connected through being a female founder, and because of that, her dad, she introduced me to her dad, who is an incredible management accountant, who's come on board essentially as my fractional CFO for free, because he wants to just help me and help the business. Like, that is my network.
Yeah.
And I really believe your network is your net worth. I take it so seriously.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Now, a couple more questions before we get to quick fire questions. For such a new brand in market, and for someone that doesn't have a huge amount of capital or team supporting them behind the scenes, outside of obviously the team that you've mentioned, if a business is looking to start a brand or a product or a service or anything, where do you think they should start from a marketing standpoint if they don't have a lot of capital?
Okay, marketing standpoint is easy. I will give you the blueprint that I followed. So, number one, social media. Goes without saying. I feel like at this point, you don't even need to say it. It's free. It's free to start an account. It's free to post. It's free to share your story. The only thing that separates you from the rest of the world is your unique story, your unique perspective, and your unique business. So always keep that in mind. Once you have the USP to start the business and you truly believe in that USP, go on a journey to share, not the USP. Never ever start with the solution. You start with the problem. What problem are you facing that you will one day solve? That's what I did at the start. It wasn't, hey, a Capsule Wardrobe is here to help. I needed to build that trust with my audience that I was a real life girl experiencing these real life problems. So I shared the issue of going into my closet, not having anything to wear, not feeling like myself, having this lack of identity. And I shared it for a while. Like, we're talking over 6 months. I'm sharing the same problem over and over and over again. I was like a broken record. Then I shared part of a solution. I shared this concept of a capsule wardrobe. So share in part the solution, and then once you've gotten that clarification, that or that validation that that solution is actually something that the market wants, then go ham on sharing the business and the USP. Another way, a big tip on how I actually built up pre-launch is not only was I building out my personal brand and took it really seriously, like I took it as though it was my full-time job, I also built out the brand's identity. So I started an Instagram page. At the time it was called The Capsule Girl, because I wasn't sharing them a name. We were going through trademarking at that time, so I couldn't share it. But essentially what I was doing on that page every single day, without a doubt, I was posting outfit inspiration. I sort of formulated this like capsule wardrobe from other brands' ghost imagery. And I was showing my audience how to mix and match this wardrobe in different like flat lay outfits that I would create on Canva for different periods of like the day or their week. And then I created these like fully curated guides. So like the key is you need to add value to your customer. People of course care about their story, but what they care more about is like what's in it for them. What value are you giving to them? And that's something that I learned really, really quickly. So I started creating these capsule wardrobe guides, which would essentially go into detail of what a capsule wardrobe was, what is a checklist to like the ideal capsule wardrobe, how to cull your current wardrobe. And then I gave like, it was crazy. It was like 100 outfit options, I think. I can't even remember now. If that's wrong, don't come for me. But it was a lot of outfit options. And I would essentially go onto the Instagram page or go onto like my TikTok page and be like, I've created this guide, you need it. And I'd like do green screen and scroll this whole guide. And what that allowed me to do was build an Instagram page. I think we got the page to about 7,000 followers before launch. And an even bigger email list. We built out the email list to almost 10,000 followers. And the key was they were highly engaged audience on the product that I would one day launch. I think where people go wrong is they either buy their followers or they go on this journey to building out an audience through viral moments that don't really relate to what they will one day come out with. And then they launch the brand and it's crickets and they can't really work out why. So I think it's using social media to the best of your ability, share your story, provide as much value as you can, do the groundwork before you launch, because trust me, you will thank yourself when you launch to market with an active audience that is warm and that actually wants your product.
Totally. I think also people grossly underestimate the runway for a launch.
Oh my God.
How much time you need, like the longer the better.
I took a year and a half of posting every single day.
Literally.
It was like relentless.
No, I love that. Now, before we get into quick fire questions, what's next for Ash and what's next for Capsule Wardrobe?
What is next? First and foremost, continuing to build a brand that is completely aligned to the community that I'm providing it for. So continuing to be that one-stop shop for a modular wardrobe solution that is both stylish, fashionable, but really works together. I think beyond that, I've always been very vocal about the fact that this dilemma of having nothing to wear and this solution of a capsule wardrobe is something that isn't felt by my immediate circle. Like it's a problem that is experienced globally. And so for me, I have full intention to scale this brand on a global scale. My background in development was actually retail development. And so I would build retail shopping centers. And more than that, like the company that I worked for was really big on creating, again, worlds for customers and foot traffic to exist in. So I think I'm really excited at the prospect of building out bricks and mortar, but more in an experiential way as opposed to the traditional means that we see in retail. And my personal brand, just continuing to connect with amazing people. Like nothing makes me happier.
Love that. I love that. Okay, now quick fire question. First question is, name one brand that comes top of mind for you.
Jack Moose.
Why?
I think he has this amazing ability to story-tell through product. And I think that storytelling is, in my opinion, the only way to build brand moving forward.
Love. What's something that you wish more founders would say out loud?
I think that more founders would call out how much of a privilege it is to actually be in a position to build a brand.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice is, I actually heard another founder say this on a podcast and it stuck with me. It's play to lose. I think, and it's something that I've applied to my journey every single day. When you're playing to lose, you have no expectation. You play almost relentlessly. You're not careful and you throw everything that you have at the wall because you have no expectation of it succeeding.
Yeah.
Whereas when you play to win, there's expectation that you associate. And when it doesn't meet that expectation, you're disappointed in yourself.
Love. What's the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
Don't quit your job.
If you or your business had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh God, I don't know the name of it, but you
sing
know
it.
the song.
Sing it.
It's The Devil Wears Prada when Andy is at the start of the movie and it's like dun dun and like all of the
Yes,
like the Devil Wears Prada theme song. Someone tell me what the name is. I don't know.
Okay,
That's so
love.
embarrassing.
Love. If you had to swap businesses with anyone else for a day, who would it be?
Oh God, probably Stephen Bartlett, Flight Story, because I think that as I build this business, I am very aware and cognizant to the fact that it is not going to be me that solely builds this business. It's going to it's going to be the team that I bring into this business that really builds this business. And I think his approach to hiring the best is something that I truly admire. So I would love to be in his head for a day to understand how to actually get excellence on your team that want to win every single day.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He talked about this idea of like, I'm actually just human resources.
Totally.
Like, not a business owner. I
Truly.
just do HR. I was like, love that.
I've been promoted to HR manager.
Yeah.
Officially, we are hiring.
Literally, so add it to the hat list because I'm wearing 5 others, 10 others. What's your go-to comfort food after a tough day?
No, this is so embarrassing, and I like can't share it because I feel like this is going to live on the internet for a really long time.
No, you can, because the quote is embarrassment is the price of entry. So let's go.
Okay, because like I'm a girl, I'm just a girl, and sometimes I just like want to be like a little bit skinny, but I also just like want to treat myself, so I'll just drive through Macca's drive-through and just get like 3 nuggets and ranch and a large Coke no sugar, and like.
No, I feel like I can. Do you know what? I will match that because I'm like, when I was in the thick of running events, like in my last business, I have a really bad habit, and maybe it's my heritage of Italian in me, that I have to sit down to enjoy a meal. Like I can't eat a meal on the go. I don't like the idea of a meal on the run or having just some sort of bar like just to get me by. I'd rather not eat. Like my last meal outside of the one that's half eaten over there was at 7 o'clock this morning on my way here. And I used to, at the end of an event, go through Macca's drive-through, Coke Zero,
obviously.
10-pack of nuggets and sweet and sour sauce. So I feel like we'll get along just fine.
I need to up the 3 is like, why am I doing 3?
Don't be shy. Well,
I don't know.
I used to do 6 and I was like, it's just not enough.
3 is like absolutely not it. And usually I'll stop, I live in the Northern Beaches, so I'll stop in Mossman. And then I'll stop in like Beacon Hill or like Brookvale. And get like another 3, and I'm like, why don't I just get 6 at the first? I don't know.
No, I love that. You'll be just fine here. What is the weirdest or most random side project that you've ever started?
Yeah, like I said, Capsule wasn't my first rodeo or my first shot at starting a business. When I was proposing to my bridal party, I had this idea of like wanting to gift them, do you know those cute little mini cakes with like their name on them in all different colors? I ended up getting prices for them. They were ridiculously expensive. There was no way I was going to pay it. So I became a self-confessed baker overnight, and I baked the cakes. They actually turned out really good. And then all of my friends were like, you should open up a cake shop. And so I started, I was like, absolutely, this is a great idea. I can make millions from selling $30 cakes. Anyway, we ended up, it actually ended up being quite successful. And then Peter ran the numbers one night and he was like, a cake costs you $55 to make and you're charging $30, and then you're driving all over Sydney to deliver these cakes. Like, this is not a viable business. Not a thing. So we closed that one down.
Okay, what was it called?
I fear people are going to go look it up if I say it.
Okay.
It's called The Bridal Store.
I love it.
If anyone wants to buy it off me,
don't look it up.
Let me know.
Order one and
you will not receive it.
And you will not receive it. What is one thing that you think helps keep a business or a brand top of mind?
Posting on social media at whatever chance that you get. Like, nobody is going to talk about your brand more than you are. Nobody is going to share your story the way that you can. And like I said, it's free to do so. So do it as much as you can.
Love. What's a quote that's always top of mind for you?
Again, this is my I'm just a girl era. And I had heard this quote in this movie for so long, but it never hit me until I rewatched the movie very recently. And it's a Cinderella story. Never let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. And I really, really love that.
Yeah.
I feel like in life, everyone's too scared to try, so they don't. And I think that the biggest failure in life comes when you're somebody that has a dream and you never ever reach your full potential because you're too scared to try.
I couldn't agree more. Last question. 10 years from now,
oh God,
what do you hope people say about Ash Raso?
10 years from now, I hope that people say that Capsule Wardrobe revolutionized the way that women shop. Leading the brand from the front at the moment, but I really do believe that the brand has endless potential in the market, and I'm not in this business to just have another fashion brand. Like, I'm here to change the way that women fundamentally shop for their wardrobe and how they fundamentally experience retail from an experience level in clothing. So that's, I think, what I hope.
I love it. I'm sure of it. I have no doubt.
Me either. Of course. There's no other options. I don't have my deposit for a house anymore. We need to make it work.
The only way is through. I love that quote. Ash, thank you so much for sitting with me. Thank you so much for trusting me with your first podcast.
Thank you.
Such a privilege. You were on, as I said, my top 10 people that I wanted on my podcast this year, and I can't believe we're in almost the end of February and it's happened.
You're wild.
You are incredible, and I think that you will go incredibly far because you can see your passion, you can see your excitement, you can see your determination to win, and I love that. It's inspiring, it's motivating, and I cannot thank you enough for sitting with me today.
You're amazing. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us for another episode. Remember, you don't win by posting more. You win by being the name they think of first. Stay top of mind.